Sean in Minneapolis. Hi, Sean. How are you?
Hey, I'm good. How are you guys doing?
Good. Relieved to hear your voice. What's up?
Yeah, I'm good. So I have recently picked up your Total Money Makeover from a used bookstore. I'm really glad that I did. I saw a crazy looking guy cutting up a credit card, and I thought, what is this about? And I totally dove in, and I am dead set on paying off all of my debts, and I can't look forward anymore to the day where I can come on stage and do my debt-free scream with my girlfriend and I. So
Good for you.
Cool.
Very
my
cool.
question is about the budget, and more specifically, the things that you budget for that could change on a month-to-month basis. So like doing your bills and your mortgage is relatively easy because they don't really change much at all, if at all. But I'm kind of struggling with the idea of like how much money should we be setting aside for groceries or clothing, things like that, I guess. Like, do you guys go off of like a percentage, or is this like a flat amount per person in the family? What do you recommend?
Is this your first time doing a budget?
I've always had like a half budget where, like I said, I'm doing the easier things. But it wasn't until I started using the Every Dollar free app that I really started to
Yeah. I'll tell you how I did it.
understand that I wasn't really doing it 100%.
Yeah. I'll tell you how I did it when I got started budgeting, and I think this is how we teach it, Dave. Correct me if I'm wrong, but what I did for my very first budget is I looked at my bank statement for the past 3 months to see what was the average that I had been spending on groceries or that type of thing. And it's not because I always needed to spend that, but it gave me some type of range, so I'm not setting some ridiculously unrealistic number. And then I come up with the range. Okay, I typically spend about this much, and then you can kind of stretch yourself to a goal from there. For some of those things that can fluctuate. But because you do a budget every month, so for example, it's August right now, and I just went back to school shopping for my kids. They needed some new clothes. They've outgrown some of the clothes and so on. So I know August is going to be a higher clothing month.
Before the month.
Yeah,
you can predict that.
Right. Before the month, I know August is going to be a back to school shopping month. Whereas, in July, I'm not going shopping for clothes, for example. So you'll sit down before the month begins every single month, and it's the best guess you can based on past track record and in line with your goals of what you want to spend and where you're going. Am I saying that right?
You did perfectly.
Okay, great.
Perfectly. And stuff like even utilities will change from month to month.
Mm-hmm.
Like we're in Tennessee, and so it's really hot in the summers, and so our air conditioning bill, our electricity bill is higher. In the winter, I heat my home with natural gas, and so my electric bill is fairly low, but my natural gas bill goes up in the winter. And so I can predict that December's gas bill is going to be different than June's. Okay, as an example.
Right.
And I can look at last year's. I can look at last year's and guess pretty close to what it's going to be. And on that kind of thing, you want to guess a little high. So you say, okay, last year's gas bill was, I don't know, make it up, $235 or whatever. Okay, well, just go ahead and round that to $250 and put that in there, and that way you got yourself a little wiggle room if something comes up, and that's how you do it. And then the last piece is that a lot of people, including my wife, uses the envelope system, and we don't use it for everything, but for a few things. You mentioned groceries. By the way, a hint on groceries is whatever you think you spend on groceries before you actually start living on a budget, you're wrong. It's more.
Yes.
Okay.
Alarmingly more.
If you think you spend $500, it's probably more like $800. If you think you spend $800, it might be $1,200. And I'm not talking about restaurants. I'm talking about groceries only. Separate groceries and restaurants apart, because restaurants are entertainment and groceries are food. Yes, you get food at a restaurant, but most of what you pay for is the experience of having someone else cook it for you and clean it and all that stuff. So, go that route with this, and you'll be much, much better off. Now, so the envelopes, all we do with that is we say, okay, for the month, I think we're going to spend $800. You put $800 cash in an envelope and write food on the outside of that envelope. Don't buy anything out of that envelope except food, and don't buy any food except out of that envelope. No cheating. And so you are using cash. That does two things. One is when that envelope gets empty, you've run out of money. And there's a little catch mechanism there. It's empty. versus if you've got plastic or even writing checks in the old days, you could just keep going. There was nothing to stop you and go, uh-oh, we've overspent the budget.
Yeah.
And you could do that for the back-to-school clothes. You could have a back-to-school clothes envelope for August and say, that's it, because you got little boys going back, and that little boy stuff's cute as the little girl stuff, just about. I mean, it's fun dressing them up, and you could go crazy in there.
Yep.
Easy enough and blow your amount and have all kinds of rationalizations and justifications. But if you're looking in that envelope at real $100 bills, real $50 bills, and they are leaving, it slows your butt down because you feel it.
Yeah. I got a question about the envelopes, and maybe you've talked about this and I've just missed it. Have you talked at all about so envelopes have this like built-in discipline, right? Like, because it's visual, you can see it. Since the pandemic, Dave, everybody has so much online shopping.
Yeah.
And Amazon. Man, add to cart is so easy.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you're
how
using,
do you transfer that discipline to Amazon?
If you're going to buy online, you're not using the envelope. And I'll tell you one that's changed over the years. When we first started teaching this 30 years ago, you did not pay for gasoline at the pump.
Yeah.
You walked inside to pay for it.
Right. I do remember that.
Old school.
I remember that.
And
or someone
so
pumped it for
I
you.
used to carry and teach to carry a gasoline envelope with cash in it to pay cash for your gas. And then when it goes up to $5 a gallon, you're like pissed at the president, right? And so that kind of stuff, right? So now, but I haven't paid with, we haven't had a gas envelope at the Ramseys in years. We pay with a debit card.
Right, like all
like
normal
you're
people.
doing online.
Right.
At the pump. But so you've still got to budget that and keep track of it, and you got to have some way, and the Every Dollar Budgeting app will let you know, but you got to categorize each of those expenditures.
Yeah.
And when they pop on your debit card, especially if you got the premium edition where it's what automatically logs and all that, then you go, okay, drag and drop. You're dragging that expense over into the food category at Amazon, dragging a food expense over there. Oh, and we've got some cash over here. Then you look up and go, crap, we just went $500 over. This is not going to work. I can't do this.
Well, and Every Dollar makes it so fun and makes it so easy to do, but you're right, because you might have a grocery budget or a clothing budget and you spend the majority of your monthly expenses out of that envelope or out of that category in cash, but then there's a percentage you get Amazon Fresh, or that you get a couple clothing items off online, and you've got to be able to reconcile that this is all coming from the same budget line item, and it will drop down when you start dropping those things over that are transactions like you're talking about. But it's important to pay attention to, because you've got things coming out of different places. And if you're not careful, that add to cart will get you, man. Not that I know anything about that.
Add to cart.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't even know what that is. So you can add stuff. They suggest, people like you buy things like this, and then you add to the cart?
It's like, it's not even that, Dave. It's like sometimes you're just having a day, and you're like, I don't know, I just need to add some things to my cart. Just any cart.
The cart wasn't already had anything in it.
No.
This is just brand new. This is just generally
online shopping, Dave. This is listen, I guarantee you all the women listening are going like, yeah. I mean, they make like doormats.
You're just sitting around bored and going, I need to buy crap.
I mean, it's a real thing.
That's it.
They make doormats that say like, Amazon man, please hide the boxes from my husband. Online shopping is a real.
No, I know, but I didn't know, but I know. Oh my God.
Like you'll see on Instagram a meme that says it's an add to cart kind of day.
Okay.
So
it's
now
like
you know.
Retail therapy, online style.
100%. I'm glad I can help educate you today.
Boredom spending.
Yes. It's a thing.
Well, I'd just be ashamed if I were you. I would just be ashamed.
I don't
Not
know
only
any
do you
shame.
know about it, but you've done it. Oh my God. I'd just be ashamed if I were you.
I feel no shame. Maybe I should. I just don't.
I feel no shame. I'll do what I want. I'm Christy Wright. That's it.